Hi, I'm Christine Herman of Herman's Quality Meat Shop in Newark, Delaware. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to be talking about this nice, beautiful piece of meat. It is what we call the sirloin tip. Are you ready? So here we have this amazing piece of meat, what I'm referring to as the sirloin tip. It comes from the rear leg or the hind leg of the steer, and it is from the front portion of his leg. And it is a very large, lean muscle, as you can tell. And yes, this is one big solid muscle. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to chat for a few minutes, and then I'm going to be peeling this and trimming it up. A lot of the fat has already been removed off the outside because there isn't much, because it's an inside muscle. However, if you can see, I'm going to see these veins right here. These are membranes that I am actually going to remove and tie back on and make it a beautiful roast that is tender and easy for you to cut and to chew, because if I leave them on, you won't be able to do that. They will be hard to chew because it's a membrane. So, and we've talked about that before, and it's just not something that I like to do in my meat. And we take great pride in trimming all of that so that you don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to actually rebuild. I'm going to take this apart and rebuild it and put it back together. And what I want to show you is what I'm doing is what we call in the business, or I call it in my store anyway, seaming it out. And there you go. You can see I just followed that seam and pulled that right out into a nice clean pocket. And then I'm going to remove pieces like this, because as I said, you won't be able to chew that. And we're going to just discard. And some of this will stay as trim if I leave a little bit of meat on or not. So what I'll show you, I'm working with a slight disadvantage, but not a major injury, but just a little something I want to keep clean and protected. So, but it's not going to hinder me from doing my job here. So you can see just in pulling this one piece out, and you've seen me do this before, that's not something you can chew. It won't cook down, and you really can't cut through it. So something like that is just going to be discarded. Okay. Okay, you can see that I have seamed this out, basically butterflied it open, removed some crazy things like this that, again, you would not be able to chew or cut through, let alone want to cook it and enjoy it at all. And I'm just going to do some other little minor trimming here. Just a couple little details that I'm kind of picky about. And some of these little tiny pieces that I'm taking off of here that are actually good pieces of meat, like this piece that I just pulled out and was showing you, I'm going to trim this a little bit more, and there's actually a smidgen of meat on there that I will actually add to our store ground beef, which is another reason why our burger tastes so good, because it has pieces of trimming from all over the animal, as I've said before, from steak meat to roast meat. I think I'm right about where I really want to be. You've watched me literally just take this all apart, and I'm just going to tie it back together with my butcher's twine, just like that. And what I'm going to do is put a string right in the middle, and that'll help hold it all together while I tie it on either end. Oh, didn't want that knife. And the sirloin tip roast is, as I've said, and as you can see, a very lean piece, and it's from the hind leg, which means it's going to be tender. Again, the reason why it's tender is because the animal pulls from the shoulders, and the hind legs go along for the ride, so to speak, and the muscles therefore are more tender because they're not being used as heavily as the front shoulder muscles. So this is, by definition, therefore, in my opinion, what I would call an oven roast. So you would want to cook this on an open rack without liquid, or without the meat actually sitting in liquid. You can put liquid in the bottom of the pan to help collect the juices to make your au jus when you're done. How I like to cook my roasts is I like to season them. You can do anything from Italian seasonings to salt, pepper. I'm just going to trim a little bit more of this outside off. You can use Italian seasoning. You just use something simple like salt and pepper. If you want to use garlic, you want to infuse it with cloves of garlic in between the seams. That's fine. A little bit of parsley. Whatever you like on your beef. If you want to do a dry rub, that's fine. I have no particular recipe other than my favorite, which is salt, pepper, and a little bit of garlic powder, if I'm not using fresh garlic. And you can do a sear on the stovetop first before putting it in the oven. Personally, I like to just put it in the oven on high temperature at about 500 degrees. Preheat your oven first, 500 degrees, for about 10-15 minutes. Get it nice and hot. And then put, again, this roast on an open rack and bake it at that 500 degrees for about 10 to 15 minutes. That'll help sear the outside and hold all those juices in. And then reduce your temperature to 325 and bake it for probably close to 2 hours or so, because I'm going to say something I said before and it was confusing. You're cooking into the center, and I'll explain that again, and not the length. And then you want to take it out of the oven when it's at least 135 to 145 degrees, depending upon how well done you like it. What I like to do now is just trim it and make it nice and neat and even. And let it rest for about 10 minutes on your countertop, and then slice it. And you always want to slice it, in this case, with the strings, because the grain is going this way and you're going to cut it against the grain. So again, to explain to you, the cooking into the center, you're not cooking it this way, you're cooking it this way, into the center this way, if that makes sense. It's how I can describe it. It's how I was taught, and that's what it's doing. You're cooking it in here rather than lengthwise this way. So I hope that makes sense. But right there is your sirloin tip roast, and you have it all ready to go. What I like to do, oh, excuse me, I'll be right back. I'm back. When we sell a roast like this to our customers, we like to include some slicing fat on top so that when you bake it, this is a small piece, when you bake your roast, it protects the outside. You can do your sear first and then put this on, and it keeps the meat from actually burning. And you want to season the meat and then put this back on. So that's what your roast would look like. And this is an amazing economical roast for roast beef and mashed potato dinner, or even Christmas Day dinner if you'd like, or Thanksgiving, or whatever you're having a family gathering. There's your sirloin tip roast. I hope you give it a try sometime, and feel free to call ahead and we'll prepare one for you. Thank you. All right, my kitchen tip today is something we probably all do all the time but don't really think about it, and maybe it'll be an aha moment for you if you don't do it, and that's okay. So I have 3 basically round or awkward objects to cut. And what is the best, easiest, fastest, safest way to do it? That's something we're going to talk about. So a potato can be awkward and kind of roly-poly. So what do? I always like to create a flat surface. That's it. And now I've got a flat surface to cut and slice whatever it is I'm doing. And if I need to, I can go that way and make a flat surface. So that's really the simple of the tip. And the same thing with your hard-boiled egg. It could be a little slippery, so lay it flat and cut it. That's the idea that I just want to present. However you're doing it. If you're doing it something different or fancy, that's one thing. But if you're trying to just cut up hard-boiled eggs for a salad, make it flat, make it safe. How do you do that with an onion or a tomato? Just take your knife, take the end off. But see, this could kind of roll on me, which could be dangerous, and my fingers are far more important than an onion, is make it flat. And then even if I just take a smidge off there, now I have a flat surface to go back and cut this way. So that right there is my simple kitchen tip, and then I can turn it this way and I have another flat surface to work with. So just something, again, to think about. I know I was in somebody's kitchen not too long ago and I was cutting up a tomato, and the person that I was with said, "Oh, I never thought about turning it sideways like that." So again, just something simple and easy to think about when you're cutting up whatever's round or awkward in shape, is give yourself a flat surface to make it safe and simple for you. I hope that was helpful. Thank you. Next time you're thinking about having a dinner with roast beef and mashed potatoes, or some kind of potato and a delicious vegetable and some friends and family together, why not consider a sirloin tip roast? It is tender, delicious, and very easy to prepare. So give it a try sometime and call us, and we'll be happy to prepare one for you at any size. Keep in mind this roast here is probably about 8 pounds or so. You don't have to take the whole thing. We can cut a portion of it. And by the way, we figure about 1/2 to 3/4 of a pound per person on a serving size. That's important to note. So give it a try sometime. Let me know what you think. Feel free to add it to the comments below next time you have one, or if you have any other questions or cooking suggestions. And while you're at it, remember to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, feel free to comment, and please be part of the Herman family. Thank you.